his baptism. We're talking about when Jesus became Christ. The salvation was his own personal knowing of who he was. This Christ consciousness, this awareness that not only did he know, but other people shared it as well. It happened at his baptism. And this week we're talking about our backdrop scriptures, the gospel according to Matthew chapter 3, verses 1 through verses 17. Again, that's the gospel of Matthew chapter 3, verses 1 through 17. And today, which is day number 15, we're talking about teaching. And our verse of the day is Hebrews 5 and 12. The time when you ought to be teachers, you have need that one teach you again the first principles of the oracles of God, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. Hebrews 5 and 12. Our denial is I will never graduate from having a spiritual teacher in my life. You're never going to get holy enough, spiritual enough, righteous enough, close enough to God where you don't need a spiritual teacher in your life. Affirmation, Spirit flows through others to teach me what I need to know. Everything that God desires to teach you, you're not going to get just from God, but God is going to speak through other people to teach you as well. And our kingdom principle is divine protection. There are angels all around me, that I'm divinely protected by God. And anything that happens to me is meant to be for God's glory and for my good. Today, I'm speaking from the age-old adage about when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Again, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I looked for who said it, and it just said anonymous. But when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Come on, affirm that with me today. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And we're looking at Jesus, and we're looking at his relationship with John the Baptist. Pulley point number one is that John the Baptist was Jesus' cousin. Maybe you don't remember that, but remember that there was a parallel process going on with Mary and Elizabeth. Elizabeth was called barren, and she had a miraculous birth where she was able to bring forth and become impregnated with John. Mary was a virgin, and she had a miraculous conception where she was able to conceive with the Holy Spirit, Jesus. So God flows through even your family dynamics. Pulley point number one is the family dynamics that Jesus and John were cousins. And that they were in this place where John the Baptist was 6 months older than Jesus. So he was always older than him. He was 6 months older than him. Mary went to Elizabeth when she needed support with this miraculous birth. So teachers, our first teachers, pulley point number one, come from our family. You know, your parents, your grandparents, whoever raised you, that family dynamic is your first institution, is your first teaching situation. It comes from your family dynamic, that they are your first teachers in your life. And so you learn before you even go to school, before you go to church, you know, your first teachers are your family. Pulley point number one. And so thank God for all the things that your family teachers have taught you. Pulley point number one is family teachers, family dynamics, which means before you go to preschool, before you get into formalized education, your first teachers are your family. And some of the things that they taught you were powerful, that you hold on to for the rest of your life. And some of the things that your family taught you no longer work for you, or they were just teaching you what somebody taught them, but it may not be the highest and the best for you. But that does not stop you from thanking God for your family dynamic that were your first, whether it was your parents, your grandparents, whether you were raised by an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, even if you were adopted or you were in a foster situation, that family dynamic, whatever it was, that family dynamic, your family are your first teachers, all right? So thank God for them. Embrace all that they taught you that works for you, and all that no longer serves you well, release it and let it go. Just because your family taught you that, or maybe a family tradition, does not mean that you have to live by that for the rest of your life. Think about it now. You're an adult. You're able to evaluate and say, does this work for me? You know, it may have worked for my grandmother, but that doesn't work for me. Thank you, Grandma, for teaching me this, but I'm going to release this and let this go. All right, so pulley point number one, your first teachers are your family. And when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so when you were ready to come into this earth, your teachers, your family, they were your first teachers. Pulley point number 2, your school teachers. Are your second teachers, whether it was where you started at pre-K, K2, K3, Brittany and Courtney, they started at K2. As soon as they were 2 years old, they went to pre-kindergarten. So whether you started at Head Start, K2, K3, K4, K5, whether you skipped over preschool and went straight to first grade, those teachers in those institutional settings, nursery school, preschool, elementary school, middle school, high school, even those in your professors in college, undergraduate school, graduate school. The second pulley point number 2 are the institutional teachers, are the teachers that teach you in an institutional setting. And I thank God that I had the privilege to be a teacher for 20 years. I never thought that I would be at St. Francis Academy that long, but I was there for 20 years. And even though I moved up from an intern to a part-time teacher, part-time therapist, counseling, full-time counselor, part-time counselor, part-time teacher, director of counseling, assistant principal. Even though I moved up, I always make sure that I still taught. That I never desired with all the promotion and elevation that I would not teach. I could get in that classroom, I would sub for teachers, I would get in that classroom, and sometimes I had to teach for a semester or for a course for a year. I never desired to forget that no matter what education or title I got in administration, I was a teacher first. And so I thank God for that experience of being in an institution and having institutional teachers. Who was your favorite teacher? Who was the teacher that really sticks out the most? Come on, tell me, who was your favorite teacher? Because we're thanking God for spiritual teachers in our lives. And John the Baptist was Jesus's spiritual teacher. So he learned lessons from Mary and Joseph, but he also learned lessons from John that Mary and Joseph were not able to teach him. Come on, tell me, who was your favorite teacher? Who taught you the most? Where did you get that affirmation that you needed? Where did you get those powerful lessons that you needed? And we thank God today for all of those that work in schools, all of our teachers. Come on, let's give a shout out to them today. For all of our teachers, all of our administrators, cafeteria workers, crossing guards, all those people that work in the school setting. We thank you and we bless you for working with our children. You got lots and lots of children appearing. And so we're grateful for all. Come on, let's give a shout out to our educators today. Let's give a shout out to those college professors. Whatever level it was, maybe it was elementary school, that's the teacher that stood out for you, or middle school, or high school, or maybe it was a college professor that stood out for you. Come on, thank God for those teachers in your life, and not only the people, but what they taught you. As institutional teachers come into your life, they come to teach you specific lessons. And when you're ready to receive the lesson that they're there to teach you, those people manifest in your life. Your soul calls for them. Just like your soul called for the family teachers, pulley point number 1, your soul calls for pulley point number 2, the institutional teachers, the formalized class where you got homework and classwork and drills and quizzes and tests and group projects and papers. We thank God for all of that process of institutional education where some people are not able to go to school. Some people drop out of school. Some people do not receive a formalized education in various kinds. So thank God for those teachers. Thank God for the institutional education you received. At whatever level you received it. Come on, give me some hearts. Give me some thumbs up. Let's see gratitude this morning. Let's see appreciation this morning for the blessing of institutional education and for all the teachers that have taught us in an institutional setting. Come on, I need some hearts. I need some love that you're grateful today. God, I thank you for my elementary school teachers, my middle school teachers, my high school teachers, my college professors. God, I thank you for the lessons and the blessings that they gave me. And even if it was something that they said or did that was harsh, that was still a part of your teaching. People teach us not only what to do, but they also teach us what not to do. And so I thank God for every institutional teacher in my life. I bless them, and I thank God for the impact and the input and the impartation they had in my life. Pulley point number 3 are our spiritual teachers. So we had family, teachers, we had institutional teachers, and now we're talking about spiritual teachers. As I said, John the Baptist was Jesus' spiritual teacher, that you never outgrow having a spiritual teacher in your life. And I wrote the book, The Development of a Preacher, and I talked about all the spiritual teachers in my life that helped me get where I am as a preacher, as a teacher, as a spiritual leader. And so I've had different spiritual teachers throughout my life. You know, that they were there at a particular point, and they taught me and they gave me everything they had. And then they transitioned, or I transitioned, and I graduated to another spiritual teacher. You're never going to graduate from needing a spiritual teacher. A spiritual teacher may transition and you get another one. Or you may transition and they've given you all that they've got to give you, and they release you and they bless you to go along your journey. And as you go along that journey, then another spiritual teacher will appear. I remember when the Reverend Dr. Mary A. Tompkins transitioned in 2013. I went like, you know, even though, you know, I tithe to different people and Kotek tithe to different organizations, you know, because we believe in that tithing principle, to the heave offering and heaving up. I did not find a spiritual teacher in my life for like 3 years. And there was such a something missing in my life. It was such a void in my life until I met Dr. Andre Fies, who is currently my spiritual teacher, my spiritual covering. And that relationship, that God will draw your heart to a spiritual teacher. The Bible says God will call the hearts of the fathers to the children, the hearts of the children to their fathers. And it's not just the father-son or the mother-daughter or mother-son spiritually relationship, but it's any spiritual teacher. It's not just that they're giving you intellectual understanding, but they are laying a basis and setting a foundation for you to receive spiritual understanding, for you to be able to go deeper into your relationship with God, for you to be able to grow in your Christ consciousness. So today we're thanking God for our teachers. Pulley point number 1, our family teachers. Pulley point number 2, our institutional teachers. And pulley point number 3, our spiritual teachers. And when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so as you're ready, the spiritual teacher will manifest in your life in new and different ways when you're ready to receive what it is they have to share with you. I love you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much for being a part of the Daily Download. Remember to drink the water. And this week, this is week 3, where we're talking about the baptism. We're letting go of sweets, any type of dessert, you know, cookies, candy, cakes, pie, donuts. Yes, we're letting go of all of that. You know, this week is the week that we let go of sweets and we focus on natural sweets from honey, like John the Baptist ate locusts and wild honey, and we're focusing on the sweet from fruit. But any type of artificial sweetener or any type of dessert or anything that would curb your sweet tooth, we're letting go of those, all right? So that we can continue to manifest the Christ consciousness. I love you so much. God bless you. Share this on your page with somebody else and let them know that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And also, you can boost this post, share, meet a need, sow a seed, boost this post. You can boost this post as well. And thank you so much for being a part of the Daily Download. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. I don't know what you call them, but I call them way short. My example of what it means to be fully human and fully divine. God bless you. Love you. Have a great day.